All right, so we have our right triangle congruence, and it has to do with our hypotenuse and our leg. So if we check for our right triangles, angle A and angle D are right. So we have a right triangle. And then if the hypotenuse, which is side BC, is congruent to the hypotenuse of the other one, which is EF, and one of the legs are also congruent, we've got AB congruent to ED, then we can say that the two triangles are congruent, which is at triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. Now, this is the only time that side-side angle works. But remember, we never use that one. We can only use it with a right triangle, and it has a specific name. All right, let's look at our first proof. Go ahead and write that down, and let's set up our two-column proof. We've got our statement and our reason. All right, so when we look at our given information, it says triangle LMP and triangle MNP are right triangles. And we know that because that information is given. Then we have length ML, segment ML and segment MN are congruent. So I'm going to put those little tick marks on there. And that information is also given. So that's all the information that they are giving us. Now let's look at our actual triangle. What do we know about this triangle? Can we say that something else is congruent? Remember from Monday, we want to check for same or the side that they're sharing or vertical angles. Do we have a side that they're sharing? What are they sharing? MP, perfect. So since we're already using one tick mark, I'm going to put two tick marks on this one. And we know that MP is congruent to MP. So MP from the first triangle or one triangle is congruent to MP from the other triangle. And we know that because of what property? Our reflexive property. And reflexive property is when they share a side. All right, so if we look at our triangle, we have a right triangle. So we want to check for hypotenuse leg. The hypotenuse is congruent to this hypotenuse. And then we have this leg congruent to this leg. So these two are congruent using the hypotenuse leg postulate. So now we can say triangle LMP is congruent to triangle MNP. And we know that because of our HL postulate. Any questions so far? All right, we're going to do two examples. So those of you at home, if you guys can copy these examples down. This first one. And we need to be very careful when we have right triangles. So listen very carefully. All right, we have a right triangle. So the first thing we're going to do is check for HL. Now remember, H is our hypotenuse. So are our hypotenuse congruent? Which length is the hypotenuse? MO, so this is my hypotenuse, and this one is my hypotenuse. Are they congruent or we don't know? We don't know. So because we don't know if the hypotenuse is congruent, we can't use this theorem. So now let's go with whatever we do know. We know that this side is congruent to this side, and we need to pay attention to the tick marks. One tick mark to one tick mark. The closest congruent angular side is this angle right here, which is my right angle. Put our little arrows so we go the same direction. And then the congruent side right next to it is this side. And it's congruent to this side. Now they're exactly the same in the exact same order. So can we say that these two triangles are congruent? Yes. So now we can say the hypotenuse is congruent, right? But we can say that they're congruent by the side angle side postulate. All right, let's go on to the last example. Go ahead and copy this down at home. We have another right triangle. So first, let's check for hypotenuse leg. So are their hypotenuse congruent? Yeah, so right triangle, right triangle. Hypotenuse is congruent. And are one of the legs congruent? Yes, the leg and leg. So we can say that these two triangles are congruent by hypotenuse leg. Any question? For hypotenuse leg, yes. So you have to have the hypotenuse congruent and at least one of the legs. But it has to be a right triangle.